couple of chairs here if anyone, some chairs over there, we can put you here. So we are just about ready to roll.
Thank you, Bill, and welcome everyone. I hope you can hear me. I will talk as loudly as I can. I want to welcome you to the Historical Society of Hammonton Speaker Series at our satellite location. Thank you very much for hosting us and for the wonderful refreshments. We really appreciate it. So one of the goals of our speaker series is to highlight Hammonton's history and how it lives on, not just through artifacts and photographs, but actually out here in our community. Some of that history is so familiar we don't actually notice it every day. But tonight's program is a great example of how that history is something we pass every day.
You're going to have to speak louder, please.
Our program is focusing on a local family story that spans generations, while also reflecting how traditions evolve over time. And it's a reminder that history is not just in the museum and something we look back on, but it's something that continues today. I'm going to introduce our speakers. Michael Ricca, lifelong Hammonton resident, co-owner of several well-known local businesses, including where we are tonight, Ricca's Brick Oven Bistro and Bar, Vet Sunrise Bakery, and the Cornerstone Realty Group. Hammonton High School graduate, Michael went on to earn degrees from Drexel University, Temple University, and is a CPA by training. Today he oversees the daily operations here at the Brick Oven, continuing the Ricca's family long-standing partnership in the community. Thomas Ricca, also a Hammonton native, brings creative and entrepreneurial energy to the family business. In addition to his work at the bakery and the cannoli capiche, he is a former WWE and Hall of Fame pro wrestler and founder of the Cannoli World, known for its signature cannoli flavors. Together, Michael and Thomas represent the next generation of Hammonton family whose roots in baking and entrepreneurial endeavors date back to 1957, and they're excited to share that with us tonight. I'm going to turn it over to the Ricca family.
Thank you, Eileen, and I'd like to thank Mr. Parkhurst. He reached out by phone and asked me if we would be interested in doing a series, doing a presentation on the Ricca family. So we're truly honored for that, and I thank you. The tough part was, though, we initially were asked to do it the first week in January, which is very difficult. We couldn't do it. And then by the time we went back and forth to get a date to do it, 2026 was booked. So the whole year was booked. So we decided, so I asked Mr. Parkhurst, so would you consider doing it over here? And at the end of the day, we decided to do it over here. So I thank you for that, allowing us to do that.
And it worked.
I like to thank the family. I like to thank all the relatives, the friends, all our customers, the community for constantly continuously supporting us. That means so much to us. And I just want to real quick thank the family, thank my sister for being so instrumental in helping throughout the years with a lot of different things. My brothers, where's Joe? Joe, he's the baker, Joe the baker. He makes the dough, he makes the bread, the best bread in town, period. Thank you. Appreciate that. And we have, of course, our niece Rachel. So she's big, she's doing the social media, so she helps us with the restaurant. That's important.
Yes.
No, that's our brother, Cosimo. God rest his soul, it's his daughter. So she's doing a fantastic job with social media and plus being a server and bartender. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank my wife Jill. So she handles all the bar on the front of the house. That's one headache I do not have, and thank God for that. So it's big support. And we have my son Michael Jr. just graduated Drexel. He graduated finance and supply chain, and he handles all my QuickBooks. Thank God for that. So big headache off my shoulders. So thank you for that. And plus it's getting into the operation with the real estate as well as the business. So. Yeah, and we have, of course, we have Joe the son Anthony. So one of them. So we have my brother Robert. He's over here. So Robert, we'll talk about the bakery part later. We're going to circle back to that later on in the presentation, talk about growing up in here and growing up in the bakery and different things that we kind of experienced. Who else did I miss? So we have Robert's wife, Tracy. She's back here in the corner. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss anybody?
The people who weren't here.
You know, well, I'm not done yet. So it's funny. And of course, we have my mother, and we're so blessed to have her here. She's 93 years old. Besides, my brother Thomas. My God, I forgot my brother Thomas. I want to get back to my mother in a second.
It was always left, I always left.
So he's the baby of the family. That's why. So we have our brother Thomas, since he's going to be part of this presentation. And he's a big part of putting this presentation together. And my nephew Thomas, basically does what I can only compete. University in education. So and he was so important to putting this presentation together. So he did all the slide work and everything else, which is fantastic. So without him, I couldn't have gotten it done. So thank you, Thomas. So and of course we have Thomas's family, Mary Jo, his daughter Gabriella, and Mrs. Figueroa, his mother-in-law. So and it's funny because Mrs. Figueroa asked me, says, "Where's your mother?" Oh wait, hold on, wait. We'll get back to that story. We have my daughter Brianna in the back. Right there, so Brianna helps me on the social media back here, a good teenager. So, big shout out to Brianna. So Mrs. Figueroa asked me, he says, "Where's your mother?" And it was getting, getting close to the presentation. And I said, you know what? Besides my mother, obviously 93 years old, and again, we're blessed for that. That she's here with us. She looks terrific. The one thing she said to us, she said, "Never take the car away from me." Never take the car away from me. Right. Okay. But if anybody is behind her in a car, okay, you never knew it was her. Because she drives like Marion Dredden. Honestly, God. She does. Oh, yeah. What? Honestly, because about 2 months ago, I was helping her pull out of the restaurant, and I was looking, and she's pulling out, I was directing traffic, I was holding the cars coming from the railroad tracks. I turn around, she's at the traffic light. So that's my mother. So thank you. And we love you for it. So today we're dedicating this presentation to our dear father, Cosimo Ricca Sr., who started everything. He passed away suddenly July 6, 1993. And our dear brother Cosimo, who is Joe's twin, okay? So he passed away July 31st, 2024. So this presentation's in honor of them. So much love to them. And we miss them. Yeah, Cosmo, we're going to get into that right now. So Thomas is going to start. He's going to talk about the early part of our family history from when the family came over from the 1800s. And up into our father's first major acquisition. And at that point, I'm going to actually take over and talk about my father's investments into real estate and what he did was a big part of the community. So, and one point that because Bill asked me was that to share our story of the family, our family history in Hammonton, and including the roots of our family businesses, which includes obviously the bakery, the restaurant now, and all the commercial property, and how the traditions continue today. And the part they played in shaping the community. So I give the floor to you, Thomas.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, family, everyone, historical society, community, friends. It's just been an honor and wonderful recognition and a great tribute to two wonderful people. Thomas, next slide. Because we're going to pick off, obviously, let's pick up with my father. We don't want to start with the military because we need to take a ride back into time and travel back to the late 1800s. So his father and grandparents came here from Messina, Italy, and wound up in Hammonton. So from there, my father actually had mentioned before that my grandfather he wound up in World War I. He met my grandmother, which came from Italy too. So he was the youngest of 6 siblings total. And I'll get to my mother in a little bit, but there's a lot more. let's go from my grandfather to my father. He was born January 31st, 1931. And, well, that started quite a bit because he started off actually working on his father's farm. He had 2 farms. And, there were actually, the family was actually farming and baking back in the day, even in Italy. But bringing the roots to here and to plant, pretty much planting them in Hammonton. So in 1950, he wanted to enlist into the Marines. And my grandfather, so there's a story actually I was talking with, my brother was telling me, we were talking, my brother Joe, and he was telling me the story that when he wanted to enlist, my Uncle Junior was next to him. They were sitting down, they were eating, and he got a cast iron pot, a pan, and went to hit my father with it. Well, he ducked out of the way and hit my Uncle Junior. So that was the answer was no, you're not going in. So he wound up, when he became of age, he joined, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, Airborne Infantry Division. And eventually did not know, but he wound up in the Korean War. So he was there in battle, and he was wounded. The first time he was wounded, he wound up. He was shot in the arm. He wound up. They brought him to Japan. He recouped there, went back to the war, fighting again, and then he was hit with shrapnel. So he was wounded again. So eventually, then he was let go of the war. He came back to the States and then finished his service and completed it, and then hitchhiked home from Kentucky. So, he found his way back home to Hammonton. But during his stay at the war, not that it was a stay, but he would send his money anytime he got his paycheck. It would go right to home because he wanted to build a business, a bakery, have that. So because early on, before even the war, before he got into the military, growing up as a kid, he worked on not only his father's farm, but he worked at the Mayo's farm as well. And it's a funny story because I'm not going to drift off from this, but at one festival one time, I met one of the Mayos. They were telling me, your father, oh, you're Gussie's boy. I was like, Gussie? Like, I never heard of this before. I was like, I never heard the nickname. So I said, oh, this guy maybe he's not, I don't know what he's talking about. He's got the wrong guy. And then he started saying, yeah, your father, he would go out in the farm early. And then at night, we were like, where's Gussie? Well, he was still on the farm. And he kept talking about it. My wife was with me, Mary Jo, and then he wound up saying, he said, your father was a machine. And that's all he was. He worked day and night. Then I knew who he was talking about. I knew it was my father because I never heard the nickname before. Then later on, when I got done, I had to ask my mother, "Hey, Ma, who's Gussie?" I said, I said I never heard this nickname. Was he ever called Gussie? She said, "Oh yeah, that was a nickname, and that was pretty much given then, years ago on the Mayo's farm." And so from there though, let me go back to the war. After he came back, he actually, with the help of family and all that, in 1955, that's when he acquired this property, and then built, which would be the bakery in 1957, that Sunrise Bakery. In that time, obviously during that time, he met my mother, Dolores Christopher. Okay, so if anyone knows the Christophers from Rosedale, because that's where she grew up, and there were a handful of names. The Donias were there, there were Rodeos, Pernas, you said the Christophers, the Razzies, absolutely. And so there were a few families, but, they actually, they started off, it was the gas station, the oil store that you had, actually, that my grandfather, Joseph Christopher, he was with, my mother's Uncle Pat. So they were partners in the Christopher Brothers. So then from there, he went on to do his own thing, Uncle Pat. Right, Christopher Pumpkin Tank. Yeah, Pumpkin. So, right, exactly. So what happens? It was he wound up keeping the garage, and it was named. It was Rosedale Auto Station. So from there, my mother would even sometimes pump cars, you know. And so she was put to work as well. But so you know, they met. They got, you know, go to the next slide. You know, well, this is part of his honors that he actually has. If you have the sheet of paper, you'll see his honors. You know, from the military. I didn't want to skip that, but the next slide was the marriage, but it's okay. So, but before that,
There it is, the original.
The original.
The original,
that's
right
the original
here.
bakery. But I do want to mention that, you know, they had gotten married, you know, after this. This was in '57, but we'll get to that because I'll bring my brother Mike here. You know, to discuss, you know, that's the marriage, and, but that was 1960. Of course, going back, the bakery was '57.
Grandma, you look good.
That's right. Good. You can go back. So this is the Ricca family. So actually, this is my mother. You know, there's Uncle Sal over there on the left in the red. So my mother's right next to him. Then you see my father, Aunt Della. Where's
Joey, right
There's Joey right
That's my
there.
godfather. Joe Ricca. So next to him, you know, that's his mother, Aunt Della. My Aunt Della, she was my godmother. Uncle Nino, can't forget him. Then we have Aunt Josie. We have Uncle Junior on top. You know, the one that got hit in the head. You know, he's the one that got hit in the head. So below him, from right to left instead of left to right, that was his wife, my Aunt Lily. There's Grandpa right there, and that's his wife, Yolanda. My grandmother actually, his first wife. She passed away 5 days after my father was born. So he wound up, my grandmother came in, Yolanda, and she was always part of the family. Of course, she was his wife. And then Aunt Jenny, which was a big part of the store like Aunt Josie was. So, you know, it really goes back to, you know, this, if the walls can talk in this place, the stories you would hear, you know, as my brothers and everyone.
Some you can't say.
Yeah, you can't say something, but that's okay. But right, if walls can talk. But you know, this place was a revolving door. But anyway, that's the Ricca family, and let's hit the next one. And so then we begin.
Circle back.
Yeah, circle back to the bakery, and you will see in upcoming pictures how it changed, but it kind of looks the same in one of the photos when it was when we added an addition, and you'll see just the way it was at that time. And Mike, hey, are you ready to you know, take it all from me?
Talk with the properties.
All right.
Before I do that, I want to mention one thing that when Tom was talking about my mother and her family, my mother was the other day was telling me a story that when she was a little girl, okay, she wanted a pepper and egg sandwich. She wanted a pepper and egg sandwich. So her father would always work in a garage till nighttime, till whenever. So she figured, how can I get this pepper and egg sandwich? She's not going to ask her mother. She got that hot. So she asked her mother, she said, Dad, or she said, Mom, Dad wants a pepper and egg sandwich. So what my grandmother had to do was actually go in the garden, pick the peppers at nighttime, 11 o'clock at night, with a flashlight, take them back to the house, clean them, and then fry them. Right? So she did all that. She cooked it. She put it in the sandwich. Put it in the bag, and it said that. So here you go. You can give this to Dad now. And what'd you say?
Nah, he doesn't want it.
Nah, he doesn't want it. So that just kind of reminded me of the story.
If they did that to me, But you wouldn't see them today.
So,
Well, yes, that's,
right.
That's only one of the stories.
Right. There's many, many more stories, exactly. So, but everything with my father after the service started here. As Thomas mentioned, my father bought the building with the help of family back in 1955, and this thing was built, it was open in 1957. So, let's go to the next slide. But before he started the bakery, he did his route by foot. So he did his route on foot. He accumulated about 500 customers. And this here, okay, this was actually Tommy Luca's Bakery. Luca's Bakery here.
The old Lucas.
The old Luca's Bakery. We cannot find pictures. Cannot find pictures of that. So,
Piggy Luca.
right, Piggy Luca.
Right.
So basically, we wound up, couldn't find any pictures of the bakery, but he was buying from Luca's Bakery, Piggy Luca's Bakery, and also Paul's Bakery, which is across the street. So,
Which is a cousin of his.
exactly. So that's how he got started. He wanted to buy from them. He built the business up to like 500 customers, day and night, going through snowstorms and everything. But he got to the point where he decided, why am I doing this? Why am I buying? Let me do my own. That's where he had the idea of buying the land, building a bakery, started a bakery in '57. So, but suddenly in 1993, as I mentioned, that he did pass, July 6, 1993. I was working in Philly with an accounting firm or pharmaceutical company. I came home to help the finances and the family, and there was a lot to do, obviously, after my father passed, because he pretty much did everything. He did all, he had his bookkeeper, and it was really tough to kind of get everything together. So my sister was tremendous in helping us get all the paperwork together, get that together. And here is where we had our office then. We converted this to our office, and that's my little shingle over there. So, but the office is here now, so we don't have it anymore. We still have the building. We rented it for a while. Now it's the home of Roman's Tax Services. Again, right next to the Sons of Italy, which is right there. So, but that's where he started in the bakery.
Boy hung around there. He grew up there.
I grew up there, yeah.
He was hanging around the bakery. That's when he used to get old bakery.
So my father's first major purchase of real estate was in 1979, May 15, 1979. So he purchased 3 properties from the Monastir family. The first one was this one on 12th and Railroad Avenue, which you'll see the big billboard in town. The second property was the old Monastir liquor store, which we'll show a slide after. That one, and then of course, as everybody knows, the third one was the Sears building. So this is the first property right here. So does anybody? That was the Hammonton Diner, which this building, Sam's Diner, was attached to the building. Does anybody here remember Sam's Diner? No? Okay, actually I talked to one of our customers a couple weeks ago. Remember Sam's Diner? So I don't remember Sam's Diner. So when I obviously came back to the family business, I remember it was the Hammonton Diner, and actually over here, so that was LaMotta Shoe Store. Does anybody remember everybody knows LaMotta Shoe Store? And then next to LaMotta Shoe Store was the Hammonton Social Club. Okay, so everybody knows what a social club is with Italians. With Italians, right? Playing cards.
Cigar store. Cigar store.
So just a quick funny story is that my brother Tom would be collecting the rent over there. So one day he was in a car. Now my brother Tom was in the midst of his wrestling career. He was huge, but he was looking for one of the tenants that was in charge of the rent. Not going to mention any names. Was sitting in a car with this big guy. So the tenant was arguing about the rent. The rent back then was a couple $100, but he didn't want to give him a couple $100. So he says, "What are you guys doing? Drugs in the car?" So found out later that it happened to be Ron Previty driving. So that's what it was back then. If everyone knows Ron Previty.
Enough said.
So and that's it for that. So
social club.
exactly. So eventually the social club left. We actually remodeled the whole thing because there was actually a wall in between. We gutted the whole thing and we separated it. So now we actually have Metro PCS in there now. But so this is currently Marcus Steiner. Before that we had Las Lomas in there. They left Hammonton and went down the shore. So this is the building today. So a lot of that we just recently got done painting, I think a couple of years ago. So the assist with some of the finances with the painting was from Main Street Hammonton. So shout out to them because they were definitely a part of that process. This is what the building looks like today. And there's our little shingle over there. So, thank you. And this is the second of his 3 major properties that he purchased. So in the beginning, this was Manassas Liquor Store. So I'm not sure if it was open when he got the building, but I just remember that it was vacant here. And
It wasn't open.
It wasn't open. Okay, it wasn't open. So we wound up actually down the road. We cleaned it up. We rented to Goodwill Industries, and we created a donation center for them over there. And at some point, they decided that I think they moved over to where the lick on the pike. They moved onto the pike, so they left the site. And we had a few different. We had antiques on the Bellevue there, Trace Matera. So a good friend of his, her son's a good friend of mine. She did antiques on the Bellevue. And one of the future, and then actually the donation center, one tenant was the Hammonton Art Center, which was Betty Domenico. And that's pretty much where they got started. And Betty's great. She actually did portraits of us, of the 6 boys.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Individually. You'll see the pictures later of what's in the bakery. But she did pictures of it. Hammonton Art Center is still thriving right now. They eventually outgrew the space. They went to another space and they outgrew it. Today, right now, we have Mary's Cafe. We have Ultimate Karate, Kickbox. We have Domino's Pizzeria. So just incidentally, so Mary's Cafe, she moved in 2012. She's still there today. So that's going on. We're going on 13 years for that. Domino's has been there since 2006. So we're going on the 20-year mark for Domino's. So we look at, when I got involved in properties, we look at sustainability in town and consider not just getting a tenant that's going to come in and out. It doesn't happen all the time, but that's what we try to do. So next one, please. So this is the big one. So this is the Sears building. So right there is a sign of Sears and Roebuck, right there. So from that point, when I came into the business in '93, Fred and John's floor covering was renting there. So this one I'm not sure. I think this was after. This was before Fred and John's. There was a parking sign there. The parking sign's not still there, isn't it, Custodia? The parking sign still there? The parking sign right there? I don't think it's there anymore. Right. So, but all right. Here's Fred and John's floor covering, and then for the longest time, for years, everybody knows the building's been vacant for a long time. I've gotten a lot of calls over the years about who wanted to rent the space, but it's just finding the right tenant because the building is 2,400 square feet of space. So and prior, like after Fred and John's, I went through a few different people. Abbott Associates was there, the accounting office, and they did check cashing. They went across the street. But I made vacant for years. We got to the point where I redid the roof, the floor, and leased the space out. And I was approached from Brian Nichols, Dr. Brian Nichols, who actually is a resident of Hammonton, who's with Cape Atlantic Urgent Care. And we got to the point where we actually got the deal done, and we ran into them. And I have to give a shout out to Joe Fondacara because he was part of it too, because they actually, the parking lot that they use is from Joe Fondacara's space. That was important to think, so thank you, Joe, for that. Okay, so this building is 206 208 Bellevue Avenue. This I found online. I don't know what it was back then, but when I got involved, it was Rice Hardware. And then from Rice Hardware, they left, and then became Mako's Parts and Appliances, found in Rich Common Alley. So we're very successful today. They have multiple locations in Pleasantville and Maryland and all that. Then in 1983, this building, he purchased this building here. It's 223 Bellevue Avenue. So back then he bought it from the Hammonton Realty Company. Bought it from them. So at some point, after they were vacant, the building was vacant. Then what we did is we rented to Dottie Orlandini, Massa's Wine Ferreras, and actually to the left there, does anybody remember Spiro's Taylor? Yeah. Spiro's there? Yeah, I got some work done by him. So, but eventually, Dottie actually expanded with her. She actually moved Massa's Wine Ferreras into Ferreras Market, and that became vacant. And that's when I got approached by Marcello Andrucci from Trenton area. And we worked out a lease, and so he's been there. So he's been there since 1998. So he's there almost 28 years now. So, and that's the 221, 225 Bellevue Avenue. This building is 125 Fairview Avenue. So my father purchased it in 1990, March 1990. So I remember being a computer store. Anybody remember the computer store?
Yeah.
So there's a computer store there. We actually, they wound up leaving, and then we rented to a Hopsing restaurant. So you can see, obviously, back there, the original building is Britta Brothers shoe store. That's the original. That's the original building. You can see it. You can see that back there.
That was renovated into.
Right. And so, yeah, this is one of the first ones that we renovated in town. So what we wound up doing was we ripped everything out. We redid the whole kitchen in the back of the apartment. From there, it went to a more modern look. After that look, over here, and then so before Eastern Phoenix, yeah. So after that, it became Eastern Phoenix. So we actually redid the whole thing again. So and obviously the family of Eastern Phoenix, Alan and Sherry, they actually purchased the building there. So we wound up selling the building to somebody else, and they're actually the proud owners of the building now. So but we actually redid the whole outside. We did tile over here. Put stucco, did the bottom, and that's been, they've been there for about 16 years. So kudos to them. So, all right, this is all right. So this is one of the major projects, the famous Litsky building, exactly. So this is 108. Right, so this is 108, 110. You can see Endicott Johnson there. And then here's what it was, 6 floors of furniture. Right, room is 6 floors. I personally never saw 6 floors. Okay, so I don't know where they came from, but apparently there's 6 floors of furniture there. I even wondered if I still counted, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know, because up here were apartments. So, yeah, there's actually the building. So when you go from this building, you go in the middle there. When you go in here to the basement and to this part here, there's actually a concrete tunnel to go into the next building. It's pretty interesting. So, we actually found a safe in the roof building, and it took us for a while to actually open it, but there's nothing in there. So. But this property was one of the major developments in town. So it was in July 2000. I want to go to the next slide. July 2000. I wound up signing an agreement with South Jersey Chest Diseases. So they were actually in the Midway building back in the day. So we signed with them. That's a picture of Shirley Grasso, a couple of doctors, Jim Donio, myself. So. That was a major sign, and what we wound up doing too was part of this whole development was we had an arrangement with the town of Hammonton to build a parking lot. So and also part of it also was in the front of the building we got some funds from the Main Street program. They had grant money to do some of the work on the outside of the building. But this was a major part. So you can see here that eventually 2 buildings were demolished, which the old Scola's Bar. Does anybody remember Scola's Bar? Archie Dobbs used to be a big hangout Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
Everybody would hang out there. I missed that. So, but then obviously Rocco's Townhouse now is a place to go. So, so eventually we demolished this one, Scola's Bar, and that was 15 South Hayward Road that we actually bought from Ruger's. My father bought from Ruger's back in the day. So, and this is the demolition of that. And here's a picture of there's me, Jim back there, my mother, Mr. Dennis Assassi Sr., Jr., and back in the day that was Dr. John Woods, of Executive Director of Main Street back then. So this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. So you can see the major difference. Big project for that. And that's what it looks like today, the front of the building, and then the back entrance. Back entrance. So South Jersey Chesapeake moved in 2001. Dr. Crane and Dr. Jung actually moved in a year later. They were in, actually there was a building behind, I think it was the Rainier Estates, they were behind the hospital Atlantic. So they moved in a year later, and 2020 they actually bought a building, 21st Century Oncology, and they moved out of the building. But So if anybody's looking to rent, I have a property available for sale. Okay. So 4,200 square feet.
All right, let me circle back.
Okay, so now we're gonna circle back to obviously the bakery. We're gonna just give you a quick thing, just give you a quick little history. So everything's actually on the. So my father passed in 1993, and then we just kind of continued our generation continued with the bakery. Up until 2012, my brother got sick, and we, unfortunate reasons, we had to actually close the bakery. And that's when, and you'll see the pictures later, and that's when Tom and I, what are we going to do? You know, this is Dad's first major project in town. And we only had my brother Joe, he's the only one left to do the bakery, and it just was too much work for any one person to do. So that's when Tom and I got together.
Well, he was
Robert too, but right.
He was doing that, plus he was.
Plus I was doing landscaping.
Right,
too,
doing
so I was
landscaping
doing
also,
both.
so there just wasn't enough bodies, and that's really needed. So in 2000, so Tom and I were talking about it, so what do we need in Hammonton? So we have 1,000 pizzerias, so we need another pizzeria. So we said, okay, let's do something a little different. So let's do a brick oven pizzeria. And that's what's okay. So a lot of times you go down the shore, you'll see these brick ovens. So we wanted something a little different. We wanted something with the coal and the wood fire, and that's when we decided let's open this. And that's when we completely, revamped the whole place, everything, gutted everything, redid everything. And obviously we're here today. And, sorry? So yeah, so when we first opened it, so we actually opened January 31st, 2014, in honor of our father. So he would have been 83 years old. We opened it that day. And the grand opening was, not only the grand opening, was on a Friday night. So think about you opening up a pizzeria on a grand opening on a Friday night. It was absolutely crazy. So, and the Super Bowl was around the corner. So that was tough. That was a tough one. So then obviously a year later, Tom decided that to kind of go on his own, and that's when it started Cannoli World, and then now it's Cannoli Capiche, and he has other major trucks going on, different businesses. But the one thing anyway, so we did it again. We had the retail section with the bakery part here. We were open 7 days a week initially, but then it got too much. So with the help, we wanted to get part-time help, because when you're working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, your body can't take it. And then what would happen is you'd have to get part-time help, and with part-time help, it just doesn't work because you lose your consistency. So just made a decision now we're just going to open up 5 days a week, and that's what we did. So we actually, when we did the bar, we pretty much changed the whole philosophy with the bar. Our whole operational part of the business with the bar. So and that's why we wound up taking out all the pastries. We had the cookie display, the cake display, we had donuts, cheesecakes, and everything.
So I took that.
And so he took the equipment, and so we had an arrangement where he does the desserts for me. And we are going to be expanding our menu beyond just cannoli. So in the next couple months, just to let you know. So, but a major part of this place today is backbone of my brother Joe. So he makes the pizza dough, he makes the bread dough. Like I said earlier,
He's the bread man.
So he's the bread man. So I'll actually.
Nice tomato pie.
Right. So that's what you had today. You had his tomato pie that he made. So yes,
It's hard to hear you back here.
it's hard to hear. Okay.
Yeah, come to the side.
Let's start over, wait.
Let's go through the slides. So I'm actually gonna bring my brother Joe out now. So we're gonna go to the slide.
Next slide.
Next slide. Okay. So this was the bakery in the 70s. Actually, this was Channel 2, and actually our sister Maria. That's right. Before Comcast, it was Channel 2. Okay, and our sister Maria, they had one of the shows that was bingo, and she was the host. So for the bingo, so she did that, and that's the back of the bakery. So.
I didn't know that.
Okay, now to the blue zone.
So you want to talk about the cake or Thomas?
So let's go with the cake.
Okay.
So in '77, the committee actually wanted to put this in a Guinness World Record, and obviously it was done at the park, and I just want to point out, because I was talking to Mrs. Downey earlier,
it was letting her know that the way it was spelled capital, you see it's with an O. And typically would be an A. We all knew that. But the baker was told, because I had to research this and find out, the baker was told to keep it that way. And it just kind of stapled it the way it was for that type of cake. There was no Guinness record that they tried to. They did try, but it didn't go anywhere. So, but anyway, with everyone together in it, many people know who were there at that time. Who was there at the time.
That's our father right there.
Yeah.
Our Aunt Jenny.
And then everyone else. It's just, but it was a great time, and I remember being there, but that was a long time ago. But this one, so here's the story of this one. So it goes back. So I get a call from my brother Joe. He said, Tom. He said, listen, I want to do something for the bakery, like classic cars. And he had it was a radio station out of Vineland, and they played oldies, and they would mention Joe and Cos all the time on the radio.
Yes.
Right? It was right. So they were always mentioning them. I remember I'd hear it, so they would mention it. So just like, let's get the radio station so they could broadcast it, and we'll have the classic cars out here. So I started thinking, I said, well, why don't we do a cake like our father did back in '77? And so he says, all right, well, and he says, all right, you look into that.
So you look into that.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, this is a lot of work.
We still have some classic cars though.
Well, no, yeah. So we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to
all right. So further in the story, so I had to contact London, the Guinness World Record. So I was trying to find information about the type of cakes, what they have. In other words, we're looking to break a record. It's never been done in our town, and we want to do it, as a family and a community. So we were going over, we were talking, we were discussing, and it was back and forth between London and New York, back and forth. Finally, it was the longest line of cakes. Let's break that record, and that was work. Right? It was work. It was days, and then
sheet cakes and sheet cakes.
Well, it was actually 1 foot cakes. There were 1 foot cakes, and little tin pans that they came in. So I have to. It was funny because all of us, like our family, everyone here, like in our family and extended family, my kids, my wife, everyone, you name it, the community, we were all here, pitching in. We needed help that one day, to put it together. So it was like, okay, this is a one-day thing because rain was forecasted too. So it was forecasted in the afternoon. It was like, all right, we have to get this done, but we need manpower. We need the power. We need everyone's help. And so, but prior to that, it was quite a few days of baking. And my cousin CJ Pinto, I said, listen, CJ, he went to school, and he graduated.
Joseph?
Well, right. He went to school.
Culinary.
Right. It was Johnson and Wales. So your top school for baking. So I said, listen, I need a hand. And I said because there's a lot to do here, and when it comes down to it, if you're not here, I don't know how this is going to get done because I don't know if I can do this myself. But either way, it's going to get done because Guinness World Record's going to be here, and we need to break this record because we're already committed to it. So this was months and months in the making of working on this. Plus, trying to get the classic cars, get the radio station. The fire department was a great part in this. The farmers, they actually donated. Many farmers from our town donated. We weren't asking for donations, but they did. They offered it, and can't thank them enough too. Everyone in the community, everyone, the family. But so when it came to crunch time that day, game day, it all started. It started with the tables. We needed to put the tables together. And actually before that, I did try to speak with the mayor at the time to see if we could do the line of cakes down the road, around the block, going around. Well, you would have to close everything off, and that was impossible with the way the system is. The the road work, the light down there. I was like, okay, this is how we're gonna have to do it. So I had to design a way to do the cakes and make it right for, the Guinness World Record for the company. So they approved my sketch and the way to do it. So I said, all right, now we have to do it this way. They said, but you have to do it in like 1 foot increments. I was like, oh, that's another, there was more of a challenge there, yeah. So from sheet cakes to 1 foot, and, everything changed. And so it was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So really, when it came to it, during the time of working, before game day, it was nothing but nonstop. I mean, you hardly slept. It feels like growing up, but you hardly slept, and it was cake after cake, cake after cake, trays, where to put them, where to store them, but you had to refrigerate them, and we had to pull a space with them. We had to deal with, bread and everything else that we needed. So we were working, but so anyway, getting to this, so game day, it was all hands on deck, and it really worked out. It really came down to because. And putting the tables together was an issue. so really, it was a matter of saying, okay, put this over this way. It wasn't just flowing one way. Go to one side, go to the other, but we did have to track it around. We started on this end, and then we went around to that side, and so the tables had to be set. Then we needed to, obviously, to put the cloth over it. That was fun. And then the cakes, lining up the cakes, everyone was like, really, they were all part of putting it together. And then we pretty much, once we lined everything up, zigzagged all the way around, back and forth, it kept going. Then we topped it with blueberries. That's just a shot from the top of the fire truck. So you got the overhead view. And then pretty much it came down to recording it, and then we broke the record, and it was 1,875 square feet. It was over 1,600 pounds of ingredients. It was over 1,000 pounds of blueberries, and so it
Donated from the
from the farms, right? From the farms, many farms, some not, but many farms. So under the tent, we had it was called the Italian Fingers Championship. So we do that with Mount Carmel, with like Lou Pantalone. We do it with Sons of Italy and other Matures. Like many people join it, and they play for the championship. So we actually initiated it that time, even though it was prior to that we were doing it. But we said let's kick it off during this. So have it like more of a grand, type of festival, and record too, setting. So we set the record there. We had the classic cars. The guy from the radio station, that didn't pan out, but we had DJ Ralph. Yeah, DJ Ralph, he was great.
Was there, yeah.
And really.
Very wonderful.
And then we got the world record for that. So I have to thank it. It was the family and the community, fire department, the farmers, so many people, the clubs, of course, Mount Carmel, Sons of Italy, you name it, sons and daughters. It was just wonderful.
How did that
But all right, that's that.
And this was the backbone right here. The backbone of the bakery right here.
Wow.
We have.
There's Uncle Junior again because
That's Uncle Junior.
So we have Joe. We have our brother Joe. So he's actually sworn a bread right there. And then that's Cosimo. If anybody ate his donuts, they were the best donuts, period. So he had great donuts.
Golden brown.
And it's funny.
It had to be
because,
golden brown.
And actually, I was talking to some customers, and they were talking about the bakery when we were at the presentation today. And they said, oh, I just remember coming to the bakery 11 o'clock at night.
11,
to go through the back door, the fresh donuts would be out, they ate the donuts.
I told you it was a revolving door.
It was a big hangout. It was in the 70s, and it was really the place to go. So, and the 80s, and that's a picture of.
Even Hammonton cops used to come here.
All the time. All the time.
Well done it.
So, that's Joe and Cosmo, and that's me lifting a 100-pound bag of flour in there. So I can do it back then, I don't know about now. So, and then we have Robert helping Cosmo with the donuts. So, and then there's Thomas Stewart. He's actually blazing the mini Danish, which you had some today.
I was promoting your college there, if you noticed that in the first.
That's before Drexel. That was before Drexel. Right. So.
Wait, now we have my godfather.
Oh, and here's
Joey Ricca. Where is he?
Joey's over there.
There he is.
Over there.
Blind Willie, Joey, yeah!
So another Joe Ricca.
And he was a big help with the bakery, big part of it. When were you there, Joey? What was that? Do you remember what year that was?
About 72.
About 72, back in the 70s, and then of course your Uncle Junior.
The one that got hit in the head.
Nicknamed Chuck. So, and that was it. So,
That was you.
so
Really? I want to see that.
Part of what our parents did was the Vets Bake would give out a calendar, an annual calendar. So we would dress up identical.
So that was fun.
So that was on one of the calendar. So that's Thomas right here. That's Robert right over there. There's Robert right there. So of course my mother, and this is Cosimo, Joe, and I was very chunky back in the day. Very chunky back in the day. So, and our sister Maria.
Maria was the tallest.
Yeah,
She was the tallest at the time.
Yeah, she had some height.
She stopped right there.
Okay.
And she loved the pictures. She always loved the
So,
photos.
and there's all right. So there's Joey again. He's on the.
got in the presses.
We call the Duchess. He used to put a big, what was that, 3-pound dough or something?
4, 6
pounds.
pounds.
He cut up the little squares, just throw it in, and actually
One by one, you
He
feed
threw it in the machine Uncle Junior was.
And then after they're in the machine, it proof up. You get beautiful rolls like that. This
Wow.
picture.
That's recent from Joe.
Yes.
Hey, that's recent.
That's recent from Joe.
That's what it does now. This picture is all the Joes. My grandfather Giuseppe, Joey Ricca, my brother Joe, and his son, little Joseph.
Joey Ricca's son,
all the
Joe
Joe
Ricca.
Riccas.
All the Joes.
And here we are. And this is actually in 2014. Originally, it was called Ricca Brothers Bread Factory and Brick Oven Pizzeria. So before we got the liquor license, we named it, and it was basically one open area, if anybody remembers, without the liquor. And we needed something different, so I wanted to get a liquor license, and that's actually back with the fire pits, still the same ambiance, which incidentally, we're going to be working on a plan to enclose the outside. Herman actually make it bigger than what it is now, put garage doors, expand it, move the fire pits out, and create a really nice experience for everybody. So that's the plan. And here we are today. We have the Cannoli Capiche on this side, and here's Ricca's Bistro and Bar. We are obviously, this is considered Little Italy in Hammonton, Little League section. So it goes from Fairview all the way down to
Orchard. It's
Orchard
Orchard.
Street.
It goes down to Mount Carmel Lane, and it comes down, obviously around Pratt, down 3rd, Fairview, and back to here. Big up the road.
So where's Mike?
Right, yeah, well, it's, yeah.
Where's
We're
Mike?
still
Right
working
here.
on it.
So this is my son Michael
Mikey.
Jr. So this is when we first started at 17. Now you can tell he's much bigger than me now. So that's what we're doing. This is back in 2017 when we actually competed in it was the first pizza pasta convention in Atlantic City. So I competed nationally and came in 2nd place with the margarita pizza with pepperoni. So that's that one. And that's our, everybody knows Jose. There, of course, my brother Joe. He does a little of everything, and I was kind of participating in it too. So the one thing with me is that I can make a pizza, I can make a really good pizza, but you don't want me back here on a Friday night.
Oh.
So you will have a 3 hour.
No, we kick him out. We honestly kick him out.
I'd rather be around.
Yeah, me and Jose handle that.
Right, exactly. So, but you'll see me running the oven once in a
Oh,
while.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
and this is a picture of our 10-year anniversary that we had back in 2024. So our cousin Anthony Marino, he's
There he
back
goes,
here,
Anthony.
Councilman Marino. Thank you, Anthony, for your support. So thank you very much. It's fantastic. And that's Mr. Teresi. Mark Teresi was settling in back there, gave us this little citation for being here for 10 years, you know, as part of the community and everything we've done. Of course, that's my son Michael, it's our mother, me, of course, my wife Jill, and my brother Joe. So, and this is
He's trying to think.
yeah, 25 years and I'm still studying her name. So, and this is just an article from the Gazette of basically our decade of being in business. That's our, cover that, that's our, some of our staff over there too. Next page. Yeah, over there. Yeah, I did talk about you. Excellent. So, that's, God, how many years ago was that? So that's pretty much in 2014 when we came in. So, yep.
And here's all the pies.
All different pies.
Not all. There's some.
Oh, yeah, not all.
We have a
there's
heckler.
So, and that's,
I was working with
I
Joe.
was working with Joe. And actually, it's funny because pizza guys, if you're, you won't see it up here because all the pizza dough is round in the back. But the pizza guys do it just with one hand and twist and everything else. If you're a bread baker, you do it with two hands. So that's what we do. Big difference. And they're like, and the pizza guys are amazed when they watch
There's
us
a little
roll the
video.
dough.
I mean, there's no sound to
All right,
it.
so that's what I'm talking about. They're like, how do you do that? So that's how it's done back in the bread days. So that's.
That's from growing up.
There's a little
There were no
spinning
shifts.
all
We were always told there were no shifts.
No shifts.
You know, it didn't matter if someone called out.
Oh, yeah.
There were no shifts for family though. That's how it worked.
Work got done when it got
And we got all the cakes.
Oh, so that's a wedding cake I had done. And then, it's just stuff that we do.
Right,
It's part
so,
of
and
the,
that's, yeah, so Tom and his son, they do.
yeah, so now
Now-
Thomas is the,
My father passed on the skills to me to do all the different types of cakes. And like we have the rum cake and then with the cannoli cakes, I mean, we specially customize it too. So like during the fruit cakes, and then we have like, for an example, during, when pumpkin pie comes in, I could do a pumpkin pie cannoli cake. You could do a mint chocolate chip cannoli cake, for example. I mean, pretty much whatever you want to customize, we could pretty much do.
We take orders here.
Yeah, they take orders too.
you want cement in your cannoli?
Yeah, if you want
Put
to
that.
submit cannoli, we'll make it. I'm not sure if it's edible.
Over here. So,
And then this is part. You want to explain?
Oh, so these are awards that we've won, like, from our food trucks on the road. We were in Philly at that time. So we were against all these bakeries in Philly, and we wound up sweeping that year the awards for the cannoli. So
And there were actually two different events. That was for, it was a special.
that was an apple, that was a strawberry.
If
Oh,
you're
no, that was apple, that was
Standing
strawberry.
Up has this awesome street festival in April, and you can't imagine how many people come out for that street festival. It's about 55,000.
Yeah, it is nuts. It's
Or more.
about,
Food
Plus.
trucks, there must be about what,
But-
50 food trucks?
No,
there's like 90
yeah,
food
there-
trucks.
And out of all the different food trucks, we won 2 years in a row.
Well, that same year. No,
Actually,
it was-
yeah, it was
Okay,
that same.
yeah.
Yeah, it was-
Yeah, so it was
And it's an awesome event. That year they had it twice.
but everyone, I mean, the stuff is good all over,
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
has great stuff.
But if you
But
ever
it's like,
have to experience like a food truck event like that, like we've been to.
I mean, Hammonton's really wonderful in their food truck festival. The carnival, I mean, we have great festivals here.
Oh, yeah.
So I always try to, when I go somewhere, I always bring Hammonton with us. That's the thing, I really do.
And everybody knows Hammonton.
And the best
So-
part, hey, let me
No,
say
no,
something.
okay.
The best part is they use the word the cannoli. So if you guys ever want those different varieties of cannolis, you come here. Ricca's Ricca Oven.
thank you. So, and Tom and I are going to be talking about what desserts we're going to have down the road. We are going to add gelato to it too, and then whatever works with gelato also. So that's going to be down the road. So one thing I wanted to point out too that I mentioned. So after our father passed in 1994, we established the. No, not 1994, we established the Cosimo Ricca Senior Memorial Scholarship Fund. Basically, the high school picks out. Back then, it was one person that represents the character that our father had. The hard work and everything else that you see in the handout. So we've been doing that every year. The last few years, we upped and we doubled the amount. We actually offer it to 2 people now. So we continue that scholarship fund. And we continuously, for everybody, we support local schools, sports teams, fundraiser organizations. And we're actually, we sponsored Hammonton Little League. We actually have our own Little League team. Ricca's Brigada. Keep used to bar for Little League team. Ricca's Brigada, so cut that out. So that's how we're, you know, we are part of the community, like what we've done here from our father starting all the way after he passed, through us, you know, through the kid, through our siblings and everything else. Oh, and the one thing even Mr. Parkhurst, if you can tell me, because one thing that our father did was when he had the bakery, that he would drive by the funeral homes and see who passed away, and he would deliver it.
Yes.
He would deliver it to every person. And he told me a story about. And he told me, you wanted to say that? What you just told me yesterday about.
Yes. I just remember when he here, my mother passed away, whenever they remained. It's always been a fond memory.
And you actually met him at one point. You actually met our father. So that's one thing that he did year after year. He always sponsored the Little League. Oh yeah, we have
so much faith.
Right. Yeah, he always sponsored the Little League, and we do that today. So if anybody has any memories or anything they want to share.
It was really about paying it forward though, because that's what this is about. You know, there are many things to do, but you pay it forward. There's so many opportunities, so many things that you've come and run into, and that you're just blessed with. And you know, I always believe in paying it forward, so it's kind of what we do.
And we want to thank everybody for coming here today. Thank you so much.
My father's grocery store in Folsom, probably the early 60s. And on Sundays, my brothers and I were allowed to get out of church early because we had to get back to sell all the donuts. They used to close the freezers and put trays of your donuts on
Salvies?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And then halfway through the day, I would have to come here and pick up more to bring that. Once we got our driver's license.
You were a good account back then. Yeah. You were. The pastries, the rolls, the bread. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Remember that like it was yesterday.
So you had extra work.
You remember getting them, right?
This is Dolores.
Yeah, right.
And does everybody remember Ann Dolores?
Oh, yeah.
Right across the street. So it was Joey Dolores, right?
Joe.
Yeah, Joe. So he comes in the restaurant. And
Well,
he
the
told
son.
us, well, the son does,
Yeah.
and he says he remembers when we were little kids, okay? In the summertime, we used to throw little dough balls onto the roof.
We did.
And he said we'd blow up, and you see these big, dough balls on the roof.
Yeah, Mr. Diglimo thought next to him, they will watch it grow up on the roof.
And Joe Malinsky, who would come in the bakery, he said, I never knew when that broom was gonna go flying through the door. He said, always screaming.
Yeah.
Well, if you knew when you came in the front of the bakery and you heard screaming, you knew who was in the back.
My brother Cosimo.
Yes, without a doubt. You definitely know
He
that.
was the ringleader of
Yes, he
starting
was.
things.
Yeah, you would hear him and you knew you felt at home. That's just how it was. And the sales, the girls that worked up front, they would actually laugh after a while because sometimes they felt embarrassed, but then they got used to it.
They got used to it.
And so did the customers.
And I have to say, like growing up, I remember with Rob. So my brothers, so it was Joe, Cos, Michael. So we had a hole in the field over here. And there was asphalt and there was a hole. And they liked to, let's go outside, and it was dark. And the next thing you know, they'd grab us by our feet, hang us, and they said, all right, we're going to stick you in the forever and ever and ever pit. And then you're like, oh no, get me off. That's what we thought. It was like, we were so young, we didn't know that pit, how big it was. But
So between all the work, there was fun.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we made it work.
Right. And
So-
one thing I remember that was very funny was if you look where the bar area is, there's this big steel beam going all the way through, all the way from this area to that. back in the bakery days, the counters were back there, and there was a single door that leads to the back. And on that door, there's a little window. So what we used to do, and it was right, and I remember specifically, it was 1973. That was a year that there was actually no help. My father had no help whatsoever. So he was running the front. He would be running the, baking the bread, doing the oven,
jumping on the truck.
jumping on the truck out to
And
deliver
sales
to deliver the bread. He did everything. So incidentally, that was our best Christmas.
It really was.
But,
It really was.
but the one thing that we used to drive this Ford LTD, and so we used to time it. So it was Cos, Joe, and myself.
So we had, so you had the storefront there, where the doors are. So you have a guy, we're standing near the door. You have one near the single door to watch my father load up the oven. You knew when he got on number one shelf
You had
that it
time.
took about 10 minutes
You had time.
until he was done. So he was busy. He wasn't coming out in the front, you understand? So we gave the signal, so we would jump in my father's car.
Right.
And we were under, what, 12, 14 years old?
And he would park his LTD
He
in
would
the
park there,
front.
eat the keys in it, and we said, go, and we go around the block.
First we started around here.
Around here.
Okay? And then we took a chance, we went around the block.
Yeah.
One time, though, I forget, our cousin Frankie used to park his big tractor and trailer on the side of the restaurant. We had those wheel stops over there.
Big tractor
So
trailer.
one time, I think it was, I was driving, I was flying around, and I hit the wheel stop, the muffler came off. So at the end, after our father was finished, now we always, one person sat in the front seat next to our father, and the rest two sat in the back. Well, this time, all three of us sat in the
All
back.
3 of us sat in the back.
What's going on here? Right.
So he starts the car, and he hears a boom, 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 right? So we're like in the back, like, oh boy, right? So he stops, goes, what the hell's going on over here? What you guys do? Who did that? What you guys do? We just were all quiet. And then the rest came out of his mouth. That's how I'm leaving it, okay?
That was it. And we did that for so long.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
so great. So that's where we honed our driving skills back then. So, but
They were well behaved.
yeah, we were there. So she kept us. Our mother kept us 2 feet in one shoe. 2 feet in one
It was
shoe.
different
She was
when
a
they
disciplinarian, actually. My father was always working.
Yeah, next one.
So that's always working.
Little, I tell you little fun stories that we were growing up. And,
Yeah.
you know,
We had that.
That was the worst month.
Oh, yeah, no, that's all.
I want to actually do a shout out to Cassie Alcavelli over here. Yes, I'm mentioning to you because, and this is going back, nothing to do with the bakery, but when we were talking about the one segment, I'm not sure how long you've been here, Cassie. I know you had another meeting today, but when we were talking about the properties, in all the years that I was working on the properties, Cassie, she was executive director of Main Street back then. She was the one I would go to and talk to, and she was kind of my go-between. And she was phenomenal. She understood me. We understood each other, and it was fantastic to work with her. So I just want to let you know that I'm glad you came here tonight. Thank you. But again, we want to thank everybody for coming here tonight. It was truly a blessing. And thank you for all your continued support for all the years, from the bakery and everything you've done. Thank you for coming here and supporting us with Ricca's Brick Application, the bar, and cannoli, and everything. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.